welcome to Packman Paranormal. I'm Ernie Pack.
Denise Pack.
She can't say Brassel anymore, folks. We are back. We took last week off. We thought we were going to be investigating Brushy Mountain last weekend, but had some things come up, and we've had to postpone that until February 12th. But we're still going to take a big crowd down there.
Sherry in the house.
Sherry's
always one of the
house.
First ones here. Leanne.
Hello, Leanne. But we are going to be going to Brushy Mountain February 12th, like I said, taking a big crowd down there, a film crew. We're going to be working on a documentary down there. And it's going to be a good time. And really with some other things that are going on, we haven't had a chance to plan beyond that because we've got
a lot of irons in the fire.
A lot of irons in the fire, and our lives are kind of on hold until we get some answers on a few things.
We got our entire family over here: Matt, Beth, Todd, Josh Chow, Leanne, Sherry.
Good to see all y'all. Tonight we got a little bit different show. You know, we've brought in some of the folks you've seen on TV from Ghost Hunters and the Holzer Files and different things like that in the past. We brought in some location owners or managers. But tonight we are going to bring in a fella and his wife who he has his own paranormal team, and they are paranormal investigators. But Jeff Eastman
and his wife Susie. I have to throw the females in there.
Well, she's not the one inventing stuff.
It don't matter. She's still there, buddy.
I was going to get to all of this. You are mean to me. Anyway, Jeff is he's an engineer by trade, I believe it is. And he's got patents on several electromechanical devices. A couple of them we have actually used in the field on paranormal investigations. One is his electric light dowsing rods.
Yep.
Which, if you have not seen those, they are cool. They are LED, multicolored dowsing rods.
And I'm sure after the show, he might be willing to plug that to see if somebody else might want to try them.
Well, I'm sure we're going to give him a chance to tell people where they can order their own.
We will if you ever quit talking and bring him in.
I was talking about stuff. It's what I do.
Wrap it up, buddy.
It's why I make the big bucks, and you just sit there and look pretty. He also developed the Paralight, and If you guys don't know about the Paralight, you need to try one out. The Paralight is an amazing device. It's basically like a K2 meter. We'll have him explain it here in just a minute, but from what I know,
Ernie ever shuts up and lets him come in and start talking,
we are gonna box. I'm bigger than her, but
he falls harder.
Okay. The Paralight's an amazing piece of equipment. We'll bring him in and we'll let Jeff tell you all about it since she won't let me talk. So anyway, everybody, please give a warm welcome to Jeff and Susie Eastman from North Canton Paranormal Detectives, LLC. Hello.
Hi, everybody. I was ready to go get some hockey masks and put them on.
What's that?
It's like a rough crowd.
She does
I guess I can give him some trouble here now. You guys set it up.
That's how we roll. If you've never seen our show, it's usually about 45 minutes of her verbally abusing me and 15 minutes of a show. So,
okay, we'll ask you questions so you don't have to talk and get into that stuff. So.
Ask Denise questions because I'm not allowed to talk.
I like how she stands up for the women.
I got to, sister.
Hey, you know what?
That's how we roll.
So, you guys have your own team, like I said, the North Canton Paranormal Detectives, and you have been recently developing and marketing your own paranormal equipment. So tell us your version of all of that. How did it all get started and what's going on now?
Well, being a mechanical engineer, designing electromechanical devices for about 34 years, and then going into the paranormal field, we were introduced to dowsing rods from a good friend of ours, Joe Dutt from Team Spectre, and it was just your typical coat hangers, and they were we had fun with them.
Mhm.
Susie could find a body at Prospect Place underground. Well, of course, it's nighttime and I can't see them. So I took and I made a set out of copper wire and bearings. I said, it's got to be really nice, but let's coat them with glow in the dark paint, about 12 layers. And that was good for about 3 minutes. You charge them up and, hey, look at that. That's pretty cool. After a while, it just faded away. And I thought, I can do this better. I found electric light wire. And what that is, it's copper wire coated with phosphate, put a little power supply on it, a special power supply, lights up like a neon light bulb. Really cool. So that's how I got into making the dowsing rods. So you'll find out later in the show what the dowsing rod that Josh has, that's the version 2, that doesn't have that power supply on it. It's different. It's LED. But anyhow, that kind of got all my mechanical juices going there of developing stuff. And somebody said, that's really cool. I bet you could sell it. And I, oh.
Really,
So-
you know, when we started, it was just what can we do to make the equipment better, you know? And yeah, you know, this is great, but how could we improve it? And he is so creative. You know, Jeff is just so innovative and creative. It's just amazing. He can fix anything. He can make anything. You should see what our basement looks like.
I won't tell her how many times things are broken and I just bought new parts for it. So anyhow, the dowsing rod story goes into the Canton Palace Theater where we would help out groups on investigations. And I'm able to, we set out all the equipment on the table and so there's your K2 meters, REM pot or millimeters, other things, and it's quiet. And I'll say, all right, let's break out the dowsing rods. And then people would say, well, how do you use them and what do you do? And so we'd have a little lesson and pass them around. And it's cool in that they're lit up. So I have 2 cameras going. One is infrared, the other is full color. So I can always go back and watch both versions going. But that was nice handing them around and having people experience asking questions and stuff like that.
Yeah, so we volunteer at the Canton Palace Theater, and we just found that the dowsing rods, they were kind of the favorite of the people who would come because they could have a personal experience with them.
Like a big hit. So.
Yeah, you know, and yeah, it has to do with how you hold them, and you have to be taught how to do it properly. And some people kind of acclimate to them and some people don't, and that's okay, you know, and they don't work every time. But really, it's so nice to have them light up in the dark. I mean, that's what, like I said, we started at Prospect Place, you know, and with these little coat hangers, and they were great. But you couldn't share what they were doing unless you were kind of telling everybody around the room in the dark, oh, I think they might be crossing. Oh, I think they might be pointing. And people couldn't really participate or know. And so with the lit up ones, you know, everybody can see exactly how they're moving, where they're pointing. And like I said, it's really kind of a personal experience. And so the quality is really good too. You know, everything Jeff makes all this stuff by hand.
Bearings.
And you know, the bearings in them, the material that's in them, the way they move. And
so when people are using them, though, at the Palace Theater, they instantly want to go to Grandpa or somebody nearby. Oh, Grandpa, are you with me tonight? And they'll cross. And I say, stop. If it's Grandpa, you need Grandpa questions. You need to have a nickname, a birth date, something personal between you two, because another spirit could step in and say, hey, I can answer all those generic questions.
I want to be Grandpa for tonight. You never know exactly who you're talking to.
And then all of a sudden you hear some sniffling going on by the person dowsing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, were those answers correct? Yeah, that was him. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Scientifically, it's really hard to say exactly how it works. But I think a lot of the equipment, but I know Jeff, when they're moving for him, they're moving for him, and he even, he tries so hard to keep his hands still. And he tries to give questions where, point this direction. I'm going to ask that question again. Let's see what happens, to verify what happened the first time. And so,
because your head could be telling your body to lean one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And
Exactly.
so I ask questions that'll get the rods going clear to the other side. So anyhow, that's a lot of rod discussion there. We're kind of hogging it here.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Well, I can tell you as someone that's used them, I do like the lighted ones because, like you're saying, it's very easy to see them because I like my dowsing rods, but if you can't see them, it doesn't do any good when you're trying to show somebody else. So especially when we're on a big investigation, or we do some things occasionally at Rosemont.
Yeah, we
And,
do public event
type things where we're teaching other people, and if it's dark in there, you've got a bunch of novice hunters that really can't see what's going on.
Yeah.
So
Bob has a
what color do you want? Green? Orange? So that's something I'll be doing out when I'm investigating. Holding these up, you never want to hold these up to your head when you're doing it, but it is a lot of fun. So in case you're curious what they are, these are the dowsing rods, and there's a little button that you press on. You can get 4 colors: blue, green, pink, and red. I like to put on the red and the green, and then you can be asking, hey, if it's green, move the green one, and if it's red, move this one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, with our first batch, you just had to pick a color to buy. And then people would say, well, what color do you think the spirit's like? Do they like the pink, the yellow, the blue? We're like, we don't know. So how can we improve it? Well, let's give them 4 color choices on one so they can use whatever they want.
I have a question here.
Can you
from
see that
Bob.
question I just threw up there on the screen? I don't know if you can see it on your side or not.
Yeah, what do I think of data loggers, and do I have any plans on making a better one than what is currently out there? A data logger.
Tell us exactly what you think the person means by that.
Well, have you ever heard of the EDI or the EDI Plus
They
data
have,
log?
was it temperature, pressure? There's like 4 things going on, and then it collects all that data.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it'll give you a graph. You can see where changes happen in pressure or EMF field or temperature, whatever, and then you can actually timestamp it, and you can go back again when you're doing a review. Like if you get an EVP, if you can correlate it with when you had those changes in pressure or something like that,
Helps verify.
corroborating evidence for other things that you might get.
So the answer is no. I have not used one, and I don't know a lot about them, and I won't have any plans in the future to make a better one.
There's so much equipment out there, and we would love to have the opportunity to use it, but there's only so much you can take on an investigation, and we kind of have our favorite things that we like to use.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I totally understand.
We're not big equipment carrying people ourselves. We just have like 2 or 3 pieces we carry, but for the most part, we just use our own senses. And yeah,
Right.
I've gotten to the point in my life that it's more about the experience. I've done this for a long time, and it used to be pull everything out and see what I can capture. Now I'm fine if I just walk through without anything and I have a great personal experience. That's all I need. I don't have to prove anything.
Right. Yeah.
We don't do residential cases anymore or anything like that. We travel the country, go to some of the most haunted spots that we've heard of or that we can find, and go in and feel the place as much as anything else.
Yeah, sometimes you forget to do that. Just go in, sit down, take some time, let your senses work for you as well as, getting the equipment out down the road. So
I'm sort of the opposite.
I have to rein him in, being a techie guy and making all these things. I'm like, honey, we don't have to pull everything out yet. Let's just sit here and relax a bit,
Yeah, I have the camera vest with 101 pockets. Okay, I have that, dear. No, it's over here. Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty heavy for you to carry sometimes. Yeah. So what's your favorite equipment that you do use?
Well, I told Jeff last night, I was always a big fan of REM pods because it's one of the few items that you don't seem to get a lot of false positives out of.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that there actually has to be something in the proximity of that antenna to set it off generally, or it's not going to go off. It doesn't go off based on, a phone signal or something like that so much. like a K2 meter or something like
Mhm.
that would.
Right.
But we broke the antenna on our REM pod, our favorite prized REM pod, and it started giving false positives.
So we had to retire it.
Yeah, it's been retired. So we have adopted Josh Chow's Paralight as our new favorite piece of equipment,
Oh, that's great.
which he got from you guys.
Yeah.
And I love it. I mean, it's another item that I don't feel like you're going to get a lot of false positives out of. Like with anything that picks up EMF field, I mean, you can actually get us, if you put your phone up against it or something, you can set it off. But it's a
lot harder to set off falsely.
And when you're when it's sitting in the middle of a room and there's nobody around and there's no phone signals or anything going on, and you're having other activity happen and then that thing lights up, it's like, yes, we've got company.
Yeah. It's really neat when you have several different things happening at the same time. It kind of validates the experience.
What would be your favorite event using the Paralight? Like, well, we had it in the middle of the room and we asked the spirit to go touch it. Something like what? Take it over.
That's pretty much
what's happening. That's what's happening. We're having full
fill in the blank for me.
With validation.
Yeah. We were at the Lowe's house and had it sitting on the table up there in the red room at the Lowe's house. We were getting. I've never been a huge fan of the SLS camera or anything like that, but we had an SLS camera on a tripod, which is the only way that I trust them, because if they're handheld and you're moving the slightest little bit, it can cause a false mapping to come up. But it was on a tripod, and we were picking up a figure that was communicating with Denise. And while that's going on, the Paralight starts going off.
Wow.
And then we got, there was a sequence of events.
We had EVPs with it, and I caught a couple of, we had a disembodied voice as well. We had a disembodied voice that we heard, and we also caught it on the digital. So I guess it wasn't an EVP because we heard it. But, usually when you hear them, you don't capture them. And we managed to do both. And then we had photographs that we were able to capture in that room as well.
Oh, my goodness. That's awesome.
In conjunction, when you're, how it is, when you're getting more than one piece of equipment that's validating the others.
Right. Then you really think you have something good.
Yeah.
We were actually brought in also, Jason Harrod over here in the chat's talking about, he and Josh Chow were recently at Octagon Hall, and they brought us in on the live feed with them using the Paralight, and we were asking questions from home to them 2 hours away, and the Paralight was reacting to our questions over the live feed.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, the Paralight.
TV. Octagon was on TV.
Okay. Again, the K2, it's always been a standard piece of equipment, but we just always thought it was so hard to see those little lights. Again, if you have a big group, it's been fun. But we again thought, how can we improve this? Because it's hard to catch those little blips on that little light. And how can we make it so everybody can enjoy it from all different angles in the room when it goes off? And so that's where Jeff got the whole Paralight idea. We thought the lantern was cool.
So there's actually a little story behind the Paralight. I think it was April of 2019. I was subbing at a school in study hall, and I took out some colored pencils, and I thought, I have this technology from the dowsing rods. I'm going to move it over and try to make a lantern out of it. So we spent 6 months working on that. I have an electrical buddy. And what was different is you could make a panel with the 6 different colors.
Hi, Josh.
Is that Josh? Hey, Josh. So in the development of it, we could get the lights going. The problem was the power supply needed to light up the panels was an inverter or a power supply. It emitted EMF. So you're detecting EMF, and yet you're giving out EMF. It fed itself. So working with my electrical buddy, he says, Jeff, you got to get rid of this technology. If you go LEDs, I can get you the most sensitivity you want. And I go, wow, okay. And then I came across, I had to develop the light pipes that you see on there, actually hand make those guys. But anyhow, it took another turn and we got more circuit cards, and that's what this version is. So tonight I told you I was going to
We'll talk about the first
introduce.
version.
Well, so this guy, this is a standard EM pump. Well, there we go.
Right.
There we go.
Yeah, it's hard when you're trying to get
Yeah.
these. They're all backwards.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, you
so-
threw that-
It's been out. I'm all happy. But even when we do EVPs with the standard, this one has the little Geiger's sound to it. And when I do an EVP, you say, oh, we got a K2 hit, I will hear the little Geiger sound. I go, oh, I can verify that. But the Paralight didn't have it. And okay, that's something to think about. Then I had people asking, well, can you make it more sensitive? And I thought, well, we tore apart the K2. We know its limitations. We're going to make it more sensitive than that for the standard guy. But we don't want it too much that it's picking up cell phones, or if you're in a hot basement with wires and all that, it's just constantly going off. But it still would be nice to have selectable levels. So we came up, and I think in the next 2 weeks we'll be releasing. This is Paralight Plus. You can see the little plus there where my finger is.
I see that.
The big difference is, see this, the lid? We've got the red programming button, a speaker hole, and then the standard LED for the battery on, power on and off. So on this guy, well, one click of the button, so it's up like this, one click of the button, so right now it's off. But one click, wait a second.
Nice.
Hear that?
We need that, Chow.
Now I'm going to click, that's off. Now, if you hold it down for 2 seconds, it's going to have 3 levels. This is the ultra setting. One click, you're down to the standard setting.
Okay.
This is the high setting, ultra setting. And each one of them, of course, the ultra is going to be picking up EMF further away. EMF is it's a squared curve, meaning that as it goes farther away, it drastically drops off. So this has a lot more pickup from things farther away. So if you hold it down 2 more seconds, it lights up. And the reason why it's going off is I have this underneath it lighting up.
The pump, yeah.
And then again, one click anytime.
Yeah, we need
So, been working
Yeah,
on
you
this
see that
guy.
comment
I'm
there?
pretty happy.
So, the original one we love because it's circular. You can see it from anywhere in the room if it goes off. But we had a lot of feedback. Some people thought it's too sensitive. Some people thought it's not sensitive enough. Why isn't it going off exactly when my K2 goes off? Well, they're not exactly the same piece of equipment. The sensors aren't quite in the same spot. The frequency range that it picks up is a little bit different.
Oh, yeah. It's a big difference. One thing I found out about the K2
because I couldn't give you credibility anymore.
was designed to find electrical leakages in the homes 60 hertz. And so I have a frequency generator and a power source that allows me to go up and down the frequency. And sure enough, when this is set at 60 hertz, about 5 inches away, all red lights are on. And when you turn the frequency up from 60, all red lights are on. And then you get about 230 hertz, it starts to drop off. The red turns back to orange and then yellow. But the source didn't change. It's still 5 inches away. It's just saying that the circuit is not equipped to handle the frequency. So at about 2,000 hertz, it drops right off. Now, that doesn't mean it's not picking it up. I had to take the K2, and instead of 5 inches away, I had to move it to within an inch to pick up EMF that was at 2,000 hertz. So
It gets complicated.
with the Paralight Plus, this goes right through that up to 15,000 hertz.
So the frequency range is much broader.
Yeah, it's broader.
It doesn't just drop off like the K2.
Right.
Okay. And so what's so neat about the Plus now, we thought, well, how can we satisfy everybody with how sensitive they want it to be? And it depends too, like on what kind of place you're investigating. You know, is it like
if you're in the base, like places that have power, copper piping in older homes is used as grounding, and you could be in the basement and go, oh, look at these pipes, they're really hot.
Yeah.
So
maybe you want it on standard for that kind of environment. But maybe you're someplace where there's nothing like that around that's going to interfere with it. You might want it on ultra. So you have those choices. You know, it kind of satisfies everybody.
I think you've already sold about 6 or 7.
I'm sorry, what?
You've already sold about 6 or 7 over here in the chat, I believe.
Oh,
People are asking how much and where do we order them?
oh well,
but I have another demo here.
Okay.
So the K2, I queued up my walkie-talkie. Yeah, walkie-talkies, they will set off the K2. I was doing a quick little experiment. 14 feet away, queuing up the walkie-talkie, this still had the green light flashing, just going off. And if anybody was in another room playing with their walkie-talkie, you could say, oh, I got a K2 hit. Yeah. But this does still pick up. Here, I'm going to queue it up.
you have to be careful. You have to know your equipment. You have to know what interacts so you can really, believe in the evidence you're getting. And we always say that, we don't want false evidence. But this is nice too. You can have the sound on if you want. You can turn the sound off if you don't want it, if it might interfere with your EVPs. What are you laughing at?
Chow is, half of the show has been Chow doing this.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's just funny.
So this is not out on the market yet. I'm going to be sending out a couple to people. I think Nick Groff, he's going to be making he's going to be filming in March. And I was asked by a guy who owns the Hinsdale house that's in New York. If there was any equipment, he heard of the Paralight. And I said, oh, I've got something coming on board here. How about if I send this to you? So I'm going to be sending him a Paralight Plus. Trying to think, I got to send the ghosthunterstore.com one. That's my buddy. Yes.
We'll take one.
He's like a student. Yeah. Yes.
We're filming a documentary February 12th at Brushing Mountain, and we'd love to have one for that. Just saying.
We'll consider it.
The hard thing is, we're just ordinary people. Jeff is kind of a retired engineer. I'm a school teacher. Where he makes all this stuff and invents it is our basement.
I took over the whole basement.
He did. Yeah. Anyway, and so, he does everything. He has to, oh my gosh, come up with the research and development. Marketing, sales, advertising, sales,
procurement.
All the book.
Those people in China, I'm telling you.
And so, I think if some of this stuff really takes off, I don't know, you might have to get some help.
Well, you've definitely sold some already because there's several people over here ready to buy.
Yeah. Well, he's always really diligent when he makes it and, wants the topmost quality. And if there's ever any concern, he's responding to somebody, instantly and
something goes wrong. I drop everything and say, send me a video. Fine. I'm sending a replacement out tomorrow.
Yeah. Not that happens very often, but
right.
He's so funny. Like he gets these orders and he thinks he has to get them in the mail within like 3 hours. And I'm like, honey, and then he keeps running to the post office and back home and to the post office. I say, probably once a day is an okay time for that trip. So, he really cares about it. Like I said, when we first started, it was just, hey, how can we improve this for us, for our friends and the group? And then we started getting so much interest. Well, sure, we'll share it. And, a lot of people have been very supportive.
Well, I can tell you that the other man on the screen there, Josh Chow, since day one has been one of your biggest supporters and endorsers of both your dowsing rods and the Paralight. And Josh, you want to talk about it a little bit?
I'm in love with it. Every time I go on anywhere, I want other people to use it and get the feel for it, so they fall in love with it too.
Oh,
One of them, I dropped one. If you don't remember, one came up missing, and it magically returned. But I ordered another one because I had another investigation the following week after it disappeared. All that stuff magically returned, and so now I have two of them. So I'm always handing them off to people to try.
that's nice.
At Trans Allegheny, a girl dropped it. She ran over and told me, still works perfectly fine, and she literally dropped it on the ground. But it's sturdy. It's not like it's a fragile piece of equipment. I mean,
Yeah.
I was
you can't
surprised.
take it into the pool with you, but didn't you have somebody that was bad mouthing it? And was that you? You said somebody's given it a lot of. Well, I had somebody write to me a description of how bad it was, and the description didn't even sound, because they said the squareness of the bottom, and I said, wait, it's not square, it's round.
Round.
It was somebody on another Facebook post bad mouthing it, and I was standing up for you. That's when I tagged in that chat, because the guy had never even seen one.
Yeah.
And he was bad mouthing it and said that you guys wouldn't take care of it, but he was not even talking about a Paralite.
No, I thought you were gonna take names or something.
I
think
like
we did
a guy on
his
another
post.
chat.
Well, thank you for being in our corner. We appreciate it.
Oh, I love
It's very much what everybody thinks about it. And we like any kind of feedback, because we're always trying to improve.
I try to put it out there on every investigation and get people in love with it. When I use it at home, I can literally let it stay on all night long, because it's not always active there. But when it does get active, it's responding. I think my condo's haunted, so I try to communicate once in a while.
Were you trying to do a live stream one time and you had it near the Paralite?
Yeah, I do that a lot, actually. I was trying to contact my sister, and I picked up a whiskey bottle and moved it across the table, and it started going off. So I set it down, and it kept fluttering. Pulled the whiskey bottle away from it, and it started going up and down. And it was responding because my sister was she liked the liquor. So I started playing with that, and the other Paralite would react when it was next to that one. I had both of them up and going, and I was getting responses just from having a whiskey bottle next to it. And I thought that was pretty impressive. But the Octagon House was really neat because it was a phone conversation pretty much on live, and them asking questions, and it was responding so well, like immediately after, intelligent responses. And it was just, there's no way to explain that.
That's
and
amazing.
I love that.
Where's that location?
They would know better than I would. It's Southern Kentucky.
Yeah, it's Franklin, Kentucky.
Franklin, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Right down on the Tennessee border, down I-65.
Right.
You
We
seem
had it
to
at
go to a lot of places, Josh.
I go with them everywhere.
We go to a lot of places.
We're out just about every week somewhere, at least one place a week.
We had a lot of activity with it at Ashmore, and the dowsing rods got a lot of activity at what is the amusement park again? Shawnee Amusement Park.
Lake Shawnee.
Lake Shawnee. Okay. We got some good evidence there with them, with both the Paralite and the dowsing rods.
That's awesome to hear.
I'm a big skeptic, so when that Paralite goes off, I'm more or less convinced. And I will make sure there's no phones around and anything around. But that is the one thing that proves to me beyond a doubt we got something going on. And that's why I love it so much.
Wow. We haven't been able to. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I can vouch for that. Josh is the kind of person that a spirit could come up and slap him like, Mo from the Three Stooges, just psh, 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 psh. And Josh would say, that was probably the wind or something. He will try to explain away anything, but
I think to be a good detective, you don't want to be gullible, and you have to try to debunk whatever you can. And maybe 90% of it you can debunk, but those few, like when you have a lot of different things happening at the same time, and you can't explain it any other way, those Those are exciting.
Yes.
Yep.
And what I love is seeing Josh actually get excited about evidence because he is such a skeptic. And I've seen him get excited about that Paralight on multiple occasions. So
Make you feel good.
Yeah.
I mean,
we had
We're
both
just
of them
so
at
happy
Waverly
that
last
other
year.
people can enjoy it, you know?
At Waverly last year, we had both of them going the whole time. One was with another group, one was with me. They didn't have anything going on until we went into the guy's room with the dog.
Yes.
4th floor. Didn't go off until we went in that room, and then we started having intelligent blasts from it. And that was really, really impressive. We started getting EVPs, but as soon as we left that room, we wouldn't get anything. We go back in there and start getting something. So
Is that down just from where the nurse was hung? Was there somebody hanged?
But that's not what happened.
Outside of room 502.
502.
Oh my goodness. Look at you two.
Yeah. That nurse is actually who brought us together. That's how we
got
are
mixed
now.
up by spirit.
That's a whole other story. There's a book coming out later this summer about that.
We practiced it beforehand.
So are you two married?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got married on the 15th of this month.
Well, congratulations.
Wow.
Thank you. Chow actually helped drag Denise down the aisle.
Literally.
Awesome. I bet you have a really good story to tell.
We do.
Absolutely.
And we are
Like
writing.
that?
Literally, we are writing the book on it, and it's a great story. It really is. It's amazing.
Well, we're happy for you.
Thank you.
So, Josh, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
If you're gonna go back to your favorite place, oh, I remember this place. I want to go back there tomorrow. What would it be? Where would you go? It left the biggest impression on you. Doesn't have to be equipment wise. Just where would that location be?
I would say Stoll's Chapel in Kentucky, Somerset, Kentucky, with the Paralight. Because we were in the woods. And I made sure everybody was 20 feet back, and that Paralight was going to town in the back corner.
Yeah.
And if not there, Ashmore, because at Ashmore I saw my first full body apparition.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, where's Ashmore?
Illinois.
Illinois.
All right.
Illinois. It was a great
We
place.
haven't been to a lot of these places. I mean, we go to Mansfield Reformatory a lot because it's so close to us. You know, it's like an hour away.
Yeah.
You know Mansfield, right? Have you guys been there?
Ohio State Reformatory.
Ohio State Reformatory.
And I haven't been there since I've had the Paralight, but I'm going again in August. I had it at the Bel Air house, but I didn't have any activity at the Bel Air house.
Okay.
And I went to Moundsville in like 2016, so it was before I had the Paralight.
Yeah, we've been to Moundsville and
West
over
Virginia.
to Gettysburg. We've been to Penhurst, and but it's hard. You know, if you want to drive,
I'm going to try to get to Gettysburg this year somehow. And I'll
Josh,
be
have you ever been to Gettysburg?
No, I haven't.
It is amazing. Like, my kids love it even. We have been there so many times. I want to go back.
That's where I want to go investigate and camp out overnight.
yeah, that'd be neat.
I had the Paralight go off down at Red River Gorge. And I didn't have it recorded because I didn't have a phone around me. I just took the Paralight out for a walk, and no phone on me, nothing, and just talking with anything that wanted to contact me. Middle of the woods, and it was working. It was having not continuous spikes, but it would have jumps every once in a while. I've had it up into the caves up there, and I got some responses up there with the Paralight. And I'm not a very good with the dowsing rods. I usually let other people try those out. I've tried them, of course, but they don't respond to me. I don't know if I'm not doing it correctly, but they don't.
You got some responses at Octagon Hall last time when you were there.
Yes, but I had to poop, so I think it was all the nervous energy of the poop. But Heather of That Moon, she's a very big dowsing rod girl, and she gets hold of them, and she gets some really good responses with the dowsing rods. But I enjoy passing my equipment around, and that's why I usually bring like more than I need, so other people can experience this stuff, because a lot of people don't carry around like expensive equipment. And if I believe in something, I'm going to try to get everybody to touch it and use it and have that experience.
Well, we appreciate that. That's nice.
No, I appreciate you guys. That Paralite is my favorite toy.
Aw.
It goes everywhere with me. I have it in the back of my car right now.
That's true.
Hey, it's going off. Look at it.
You have a visitor. Now, Jeff is really good at the dowsing rods, and I'm not so good at them. But I think it's kind of like if you're comfortable with them, if you practiced with them, if you kind of have a connection with them.
Yeah, I feel it's an attitude. It's just, okay, guys, let's do it tonight. I'm all excited to visit you, and you tell them who you are, and you just feel real positive. And there have been places it just doesn't work. I said, Sue, I'm not feeling it here. And then there are places like, oh my gosh, look at them going around. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, he had a lot of luck. We've been to, Ohio State Reformatory a lot, down in solitary confinement. And boy, somebody down there likes to talk to him. And it happens every time we go. Yeah, and they really, really move. I mean, it's not just like, oh, I think they might be. And like I said, when you kind of go back and ask the same questions again, like, can you point to where you might be in the room? And they keep going in that same direction. And then you have to get them to come back straight again. So, yeah, we enjoy that.
I like the dowsing rods, yeah.
Yep.
You guys want to talk about future products?
Yeah.
It's up to you guys. You're the host with the most, the couple.
Well, let's talk about your future projects. What do you have?
Okay, so this is a concept Parabear. And what I did is I married the two technologies, the dowsing rod technology. So this guy has an LED with actually there's a light pipe going on down here. So that technology with the Paralite technology, that circuit card inside's got 6 LEDs. And I used the light pipes wrapping around. Well, I took those two, put them together, and had a 6-hour surgery on Mr. Bear here, Parabear. And with this guy, which you'll see here. Now, my wife's she's gonna say, this is not what it's gonna look like. Well, no, I was being creative this day.
He just strung all these wires every which way through this bear. But the idea is good, but yeah.
All right. So again, typical EM pump. I'm gonna bring down. It's much better in the dark. You know what? Can you turn off?
Yeah, but it doesn't look like a bear. Like he didn't go, with the mouth and the ears and the outside. So yeah, that's what we have to work on. But we have gotten it to go off places. It's really cool.
That is cool. That is cool.
That's for child spirits. That would be really good for the children.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, like we have one of those little Boo Bears. And all it has are like a little light in one arm.
Paws light up.
There's just a couple little lights in it. And again, it's like, well, how can you improve on these ideas,
So future, later this year, maybe, I got some other things going on that I can't tell you about.
He's got a really, really neat idea that he has in prototype now. That's kind of...
Yeah, it's cool. But I can't tell you. Not even the name, because it's secret stuff. I got to tell you a quick story about the Paralite Plus. We were at Brunella Cottage, and I had it sitting on the bed, asking questions, dowsing, rodding, and it was going off. And we're on the second floor, and so we're all excited. This is fun. I have it on its high sensitivity. It's going off. Came home, and we were downstairs. And then the owner said, it's the coffee maker. I go, what? Yeah, let me tell you. He holds his watch up and he goes, it's going to go off in about 1 minute. And sure enough, my Paralite goes off. So we went back downstairs after we told everybody. And it went off. And I said, well, how do you know that? Well, come here. We put K2s and Paralites in a hallway. And he looked at his watch again. And sure enough, on a 4.5 minute mark, they all went off. And I thought, I came home, I was watching the data, I was watching the video, and I was marking times down. And sure enough, we got like 12 hits, but every 4.5 minutes, it was a pause, and then it got hit again.
So, I mean, we're just being honest. You have to be careful. You have to know your
Right.
environment, you know?
Yeah.
And we were a little upset, like they weren't forthcoming with that ahead of time.
I had to call them up
Right.
and say, is there something going on here? And we were on the second floor, and it's the warmer on the coffee pot downstairs that was kicking in. So that
Right.
surge of power was setting off the Paralight. So again, you got to be real careful with this stuff.
Yeah. One of our good friends, somebody we've had on our show a couple of times, and someone that we respect as much as anybody in the field, is Brandon Alvis, and he is very big on, verifying what data you collect and making sure that you're not getting false positives or putting out evidence that's not evidence and all that kind of thing. And I would love to get him a Paralight and have him see what he thinks of it, because I don't know if you're familiar with him, if you followed any of the things that he's done recently since Ghost Hunters ended. Him and Mustafa Gadalari, they've got a YouTube show called what is it?
The Formula of a Haunting.
Formula of a Haunting. And that's what he does, is he goes down and breaks down investigations that his team did like 10, 12 years ago with the old equipment, the old K2s and all this kind of stuff, and compares it with new technology and the things they've learned now. And one of his big things nowadays is K2 meters are junk. They're junk because they put off so many false positives. And I don't think he's ever used or seen a Paralight, and I would love to put one in his hands and see what he thinks of it.
Well, send me some information on Messenger about him. Maybe I can contact him and get him.
Okay. All right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we can do.
So,
definitely. We'll
what
talk.
do you guys think of the SB7 Spirit Box? The
Is that the
radio
old-
that goes through all the channels.
Is that the older? Is the SB7 the older black box?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a little.
SB, now it's the 11. I
Yeah,
don't
the
even
new
know.
one is
SB7 is not the dual channel. This is just a
Right.
single one channel AM FM. What's
I've
your
had the
opinion
old
about
one.
that?
I've had the old black one for years, and I really liked it. I sold that to a friend and bought the new SB11.
Yeah.
And I didn't like it until I took the antenna off.
Okay.
I took the antenna off so it gets less radios
Yeah.
like pickup. We had that going last night at an investigation. It is weird. We do get some strange things out of it.
Yeah, we've had it was Soul Chapel when it started playing Hotel
Yeah.
California.
Yeah, that was crazy. We were at Soul Chapel down near Somerset, Kentucky, place that Josh mentioned earlier, and we were doing a Spirit Box session with the SB7, and I said, "All right, I'm going to go ahead and turn this off and wrap it up."
And
And-
it somehow switched from AM to FM
Yeah.
and started
Before
playing
we
Hotel
As I
California.
hadn't touched a button yet,
Yeah.
and I picked it up off of the tombstone where it was sitting, and it switched to AM to FM and starts playing right at the point where it says, "We haven't had that spirit here since 1969."
Oh.
Yeah.
We all just kind of looked at each other like,
We
"Okay,
actually
that's
had that.
freaky."
We caught that on a live, I believe.
I think
Yeah,
Josh
it was live.
at the time when we did that. And so, there's some things with the SB7 that, I've gotten some really pertinent and relevant responses with it, and some things that I cannot explain. We've gotten a lot of F-bombs dropped on the SB7, which, that's an FCC violation if it's coming across a regular
Right.
radio frequency, so where's that coming from?
We had BITCH come over last night on top of it saying a girl's name 4 times and spelling it out.
What?
Yeah.
And that was an SB11 with the antenna off.
Okay.
But it's great. And that was using the Estes method with the blindfold and the headphones. And somebody
Okay.
had questions.
That's that experiment.
Right.
But we had that on live last night. We got that on live.
Wow.
So the reason I asked is I'm very much interested in white noise. So we go places. I have on my little didgerecorder. I call it gray noise. White noise is too peaked in the middle. Gray noise is the same power across the whole spectrum. And I'll turn it on, ask questions, then come home, and I've got some pretty good software from Isotope called RX8. And I really dive in and I wipe all that white noise out and I bring it up. And I've gotten some really good EVPs with that. And an experiment I want to do is broadcast gray noise. So I have, over Christmas, I bought all these piece parts to my experiment. The digital recorder is plugged into a guitar wireless transmitter. And so it's going to broadcast white noise over the air and get picked up by the receiver, which gets fed into the HOF gate. And then there's a reverb in there. And then back to the speaker. And I'm going to have it go branch off and go into a recorder too. But hopefully, the idea is if the spirits are talking through the white noise, can they talk through broadcasted white noise?
That is really cool.
I don't know. That was on his Christmas list.
I'd really like to try that.
So I'm looking to put that together. I'm not building paralights and stuff. So,
well, I'm just here to offer my services as a beta tester for any of this stuff that you come out with. And we'll give you honest reviews.
He's a mooch.
I'm not a mooch. I'm just saying we need more stuff because you broke my dang REM pod.
Have you thought about redoing the REM pod at all, Jeff?
What was that?
Have you thought about redoing the REM pod?
No, haven't had time to think about that.
Oh, I understand. Well, I like it.
It's interesting. The people who contact him from all over the, not just the country, but everywhere. The Netherlands and Australia and Great Britain and Canada and
we want to sell your stuff up here in Netherlands and stuff like that. So that's cool.
It is cool.
It's interesting to see where. And I had a package that actually had the same last name on it, Eastman, and I thought that's pretty cool. I wonder if they're a cousin of mine or something.
What do you mean? You sent one to somebody?
Yeah, it had the same last name.
Oh, who knows?
Cool. That is cool.
That's funny.
Well, what? I think we've plugged you pretty darn good here, Jeff.
I know it's like one big plug.
If someone wanted to buy one, where would they find your contact information to put an order in?
So they're on Amazon. For the Paralight, you just type in Paralight, Para-Light, and it should come up. I think it's like the 10th thing down on the page. Or you can go to theghosthunterstore.com. And if you want to get around all of that and you have a PayPal account, you just send me an email to ncpdohio@neo.rr.com. And then we can talk about how you can skip Amazon's commissions and stuff like that. And I can box it up and sell it to you that way. I don't know.
All right. When we get done with the show, if you could go to Packman Paranormal, our Facebook group, feel free to post that link on there where people can then go to Packman Paranormal and see exactly how to get in touch with you directly to put all that money in your pocket instead of Bezos. And
feel free to plug anything of yours on Packman Paranormal. Advertise. We will put you through.
And we'll share it all over the place.
We like getting to meet other paranormal investigators. That's a lot of fun.
I'm always watching where Josh goes. He's always up on my feeds. Where are you going now, Josh? Look at that.
I'm doing a private investigation this week, and I'm going with Ernie on February 6th to a cemetery. Then Brushy after that with Ernie and Denise. They're Midnight Wolfpack and Pac-Man.
You're part of Midnight Wolfpack production too now, buddy.
Yeah, I'm a tag along.
Well, it's just the two of us who are really NCPD, but we have a lot of other groups we go and do things with too.
Team
Like
Spectre,
Team Spectre.
Gettysburg Paranormal Association.
Yeah.
We hook up, we get enough people to go somewhere. And like Mansfield, you need 15 people minimum for a private, so we'll do that.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
If you, I have a private overnight at Waverly on September 5th. If you guys would like to come,
Oh,
it's $100 a person. If you guys would like to come down,
we're
it's in
just
Louisville.
setting up kind of some of the places that we're going to go. And we've been so busy. I mean, really, Jeff works down in the basement like 7 days a week. I mean, that's what he loves to do. But when you're inventing and building and sending, you don't have a whole lot of time for investigating.
I have my computer program going on. I have a 3D printers. I'll be printing parts out, and it's a lot.
So I know we're going to be going to
Tala. Trans-Allegheny.
Yeah, that's set up. And going over to Hillview Manor. Again. Have you guys been to Hillview Manor?
I haven't been to Hillview Manor. I've heard of it.
That's one of our favorite places. So,
big hospital for older people, clean, and big
you get
and
a
quiet.
lot of evidence there.
Yeah,
a lot of evidence. But like I said, it's not like we're going somewhere every weekend. Especially, I'm so busy doing lesson plans and grading papers.
We hope the conventions are still going on. Last year they canceled the Ohio State Reformatory Paracon and the West Virginia Paracon.
Yeah.
This year
the Gettysburg too, the Battlefield Bash.
I think that was canceled.
Yeah, that was canceled.
Because we were attending a lot of those,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're planning on
I hope they're on
Paracon this year.
Yeah, that's in August. So.
Which one? We were down at Post Town Elementary a couple years ago. Is that kind of? Have you guys been there?
We haven't been there.
I haven't been there, but I think Josh actually sent us a link to that.
I've been to Post Town. It's only like 20 minutes away from me, so I go to Post Town when I can. But I had the tour guide that farted and burped. I don't know if you met her or not.
You told me about that.
She claimed anytime a spirit was around, she would burp or fart.
What?
And she walked around and burped and farted the whole night. It was kind of strange.
Yeah, Josh gets the best people to hang out with.
Yeah. That's what she claimed happened when she had paranormal around her. But,
that would happen to you?
Okay, we're going to be thinking about that when we hang up here, about the woman that did those things.
But
you tell it like it is.
I never really had an experience at Post Town, but it's a cool place to go explore.
Yeah, well, they had a convention there, so that's kind of why we went down there and got to know the place.
I might have run into you back then. Well, I was like 2016 or 2017.
The years go by.
That could have been.
Yeah, probably.
18?
Yeah, I think that was my first convention there ever. Actually,
the guest people were Amy and Chip, and
Chip Coffee. Yeah,
Chip Coffee.
I think I went to that one.
Yeah. I've got Chip Coffee on the wall over here, the autographed picture.
Yeah.
So what are you guys going to be? I mean, have you got any investigations planned coming up, or are you just locked in the basement for now?
I have to make my quota, and then I can get released.
I understand.
Now, this year, again, I think we're going to Ohio State for the convention, May 28th-ish, that weekend. Then we have Tala.
Sometime. Hillview.
We're
not the ones who set it up. We just go along with Team Spectre and wherever they go.
I understand.
We're in Gettysburg Paranormal, and they set things up too. So, yeah.
It was kind of an iffy calendar this year, whether you pay up and everybody's ready to go, and then next thing you know, it's
canceled or something. But it sounds like you guys have been really busy. I mean, you haven't let it stop you.
We haven't slowed down. COVID did not slow us down a bit, really. We, if we did not have an actual, commercial investigation that we had booked, we would just head out to a cemetery or call Chow and ask him if he knew of anything going on, or he'd call us, or we'd go squatching, or we would find something to do just about every weekend.
Tell us in 30 seconds. I don't know. I'd love to hear your Bigfoot story.
Oh gosh, we got so many of them.
And wait a minute. This is our dang network. We can stay on as long as we want. So
Yeah.
anyway, go ahead.
You go ahead.
The first time I went squatching, we had the Paralight on the gifting stump, and it was going off.
Yes.
Wow. Do you have any of this?
The big foots,
Bigfoots
will actually interact with ghost hunting equipment.
Yeah. We left it out there with nobody else out there on a stump we could see. And we're how far away would you say? 150 yards?
Probably 100, 150 yards.
And we left it out there with the donuts we left for Bigfoot. And you could see it jump every once in a while when we were looking at the eyes. It was really interesting.
So you guys actually saw a Bigfoot.
Oh, we saw. You want to go into that story?
we would see eyes blinking at us. Bioluminescent eyes blink.
We actually saw a full-bodied one.
Tall. We would see them slowly change color. I didn't see the actual giant man Bigfoot, but I saw eyes blinking at me, looking at me, and it wasn't just one set of eyes. It was 12 to 13 of them at different times. There were so many you would be looking at over here, and some of us I see one over here, and it was just lit up. And any animal in the dark, you have to shine a light in order to see the eye shine.
Mm-hmm.
These were lighting up on their own. So unless there was a bunch of crackheads running around the forest with flashlights, I don't think it was a thing.
Wow.
These things had a presence, and now I'm still excited about my first encounter there. And
where were you?
Southern Indiana.
Yeah, State Park there. I'm a skeptic, but I've had experiences. But seeing those eyes blink changed my mind on the existence of something living out there in the woods for sure. And even the guy that took us out there, he told us they pick up on EMF. If they sense a camera, anything, they just won't show themselves. And I asked if just leaving this out there would cause a problem. He said they might find it interesting. That's why I left it out there. I actually left it hanging on a tree above the stump on a little branch I broke off so it wouldn't, get knocked over or anything. And we would be that far away from it, and you could barely just shoo, shoo. And then we go back out there about 15 minutes later. There's a cut in the plastic of the donut case we left out there, and it looked like something rubbed his finger across the donut and licked it.
Wow.
I mean, it was a great experience.
Did you guys smell anything?
I don't remember a different smell that day. I went back a week later just to prove myself that it was something. I went alone, didn't tell nobody I was going, and I only saw one pair of eyes. And I did bring donuts for it. I actually brought a coffee cake for the Bigfoot, but
a coffee cake.
Yeah. They like raspberry donuts, raspberry cream.
But I couldn't find raspberry donuts when I went out. But I did bring the Paralight with me. I just left it hanging on my overalls, and I walked out. No camera, no nothing. Asked for an experience, and I just saw one pair of eyes that night, and went back to my car and sat and watched and listened. And I didn't really have anything else happen. But
you should leave your dowsing rods on the stump. If I made another pair, it would be like 3 feet long. That'd be a proportion to the 9-foot guy. No, but what if you left your rods out and you were far away? You could see something like pick them up and play with them.
It'd be great.
That'd be great.
We ought to do that next time.
We should try.
Yeah. Well, I need to find like a little tripod to put them on. And right now there's no vegetation there, so it'd be totally visible. Just having low level with no trees around and everything's dead right now. It'd be great to go out there like that now.
Yeah. We should try that. Maybe the 13th one will go.
Actually seen these eyes.
We see the eye shine just about any time we get in the woods with Squatch Man. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of him. They call him Squatch Man. He's been on several of the TV shows. His name is Greg Yost, and he's a good friend of ours. We go out with him quite often, and just about every time we're out there, we have something happen. One time he was getting ready to move to the Pacific Northwest, and this particular forest, he's got a real relationship with the creatures there.
He calls them the forest people.
And he went out there to the edge of the woods and he said, "My friends, this might be my last time seeing you for a while. Can you do something epic?" And we sat there for about 5 minutes and nothing really happened, or about 2 minutes. Nothing really happened.
That long at all.
And then, boom.
7
boom,
trees.
7 trees got pushed over in the space of about 5 minutes.
Wow.
And there was no wind, no rain, nothing going on to cause these trees to fall. But I mean, they were just boom.
One
boom.
tree fell across the road and hooked onto another tree and kind of got stuck. So we kind of, which that was epic in and of itself. So another 30 minutes to an hour goes by and we're just kind of hanging out over by the van. And all of a sudden I'm sitting in the van trying to kind of stay warm because it was a little chilly and rainy out there. And he starts beating on the back of the van and I jump out and go running around. Something is in the top of the tree that it's caught on. Shaking it. You can see a dark figure
shaking that
and it
tree.
Fell the rest of the way.
The other tree falls the rest of the way down.
And it disappeared. It jumped down and was gone.
You hear a big thud and then something running off through the woods.
Oh.
We get over there, we find a footprint about that big at the base of that tree, and then 2 other scuff marks in the, not full prints.
What location did this happen at?
It's in southern Indiana. We say it's an undisclosed location.
Okay,
it's a park in southern Indiana. He doesn't like to give it out. Greg doesn't like us to tell everybody where it's at.
We can tell y'all after
We can tell you offline, but
he doesn't want a bunch of people running around his forest when he's out there to do his thing.
Right.
But,
reach in that drawer over there.
Oh yeah.
Even if it's not Bigfoot, I think there's something out there that we don't know about. Whether it's paranormal or actual Bigfoot, there's something in those woods that is not human. And
this was found in front of one of the structures.
Ah.
Now ours has been contaminated because it's been touched multiple times, but Squatch Man actually gave that to us. We found a coyote skull and part of the spinal column outside of what he calls a hooch, which the trees are like that big around and they're broken. Like they're not sawed, they're not cut. They have been physically broken to make these lean-tos. And that chunk of hair was found outside of that, beside that skull.
Have you had that analyzed at all?
Well, we've all
ours has been contaminated because we touched it. And he's got what he's got. He has not, he's broke as a joke like we are right now, and getting a DNA analysis on this kind of stuff is not cheap.
Right.
And so he's got a sample of it that hasn't been contaminated that he would love to get.
He's got some pretty awesome pictures. He's got some casts. I can actually send you all on the messenger here in a few minutes. I'll send you a couple of pictures that they actually caught the last weekend they went out there.
Oh,
yeah, they're pretty neat.
Yeah,
you could also share Leanne's photo of the first time we went, where those 2 trees are
bent over.
And then one is literally bent like a booby trap, and it was put over top of a logging truck to stop them from logging.
Oh my goodness!
It was pretty interesting.
There used to be a guy named Steve Jones. You don't know Steve Jones, do you? Anyway, he used to be part of Team Spectre, and he had an experience where he saw
Bigfoot.
one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the Grassman in Ohio.
Ohio. If you're in the woods, Joss, and you see one, are you going to run towards it? What would stop you from?
Or away from it?
I'll be giving him a big old hug. Same with Denise. Denise will run right after him. I would never cause one harm. I would never want to hurt one. I would just want the experience, and as long as it's not smellier than I am, I'd go give him a hug.
This thing right here, we were at Gates of Hell, which is a cemetery that is down near Elizabethtown, Kentucky, that has all kinds of activity, from demonic activity to spirit activity to cryptids to UFOs. There's all kinds of things reported. It's like a little portal of whatever down there because there's everything that goes on down there. And we were doing a live stream podcast or whatever for a one of the hosts of Coast to Coast AM. And we were on a break from the live stream, and me, her, and another guy that was with us, Troy Peterson, were standing by the van, and we heard this crashing coming through the woods toward us. And it got closer and closer, and the closer it got, the faster it got.
It was running up the hill.
It was running up the hill toward us, and I mean, it was getting dark out. It was just dark enough that you couldn't see down into the woods where it was at. But I mean, it got to where it was within 50 yards of us. And Denise takes off running down the hill. Troy takes off running that way.
You
took 2 steps back.
No, you took off
pulled
running
a 45
that way
and
too.
took a tactical position.
He ran.
I got behind the van with the gun, but she runs down the hill toward it, and
it was just gone.
Yeah,
it just gone.
No, we didn't hear any noise.
No animals.
No, nothing. It just like it ran up the hill and
vanished.
And I don't know, but we did have another encounter where we had about a 7 or 8 minute standoff with one in the woods. It was standing in the middle of a logging road, just staring at us. And, you know, we had no signal or anything where we could, our cameras had died, just like with paranormal activity. How, you know, sometimes, you know, you'll have battery drain or your cameras will die or whatever, you know, when something's going on, everything malfunctions. Everything we had with us had malfunctioned. Was finally able to make a phone call on my cell phone to the host of the show and say, we are having a standoff with a Bigfoot right now. And this thing was just standing there in the road looking at us, and then it walked off in the woods. And
have you ever felt threatened?
I haven't. You did. Yeah. When it was running up the hill.
When that one came running up the hill.
And you were hiding behind the truck, and she was running toward it.
Yeah.
In her defense, she's a very overly brave woman. Yeah. Denise has no fear.
No.
Todd's talking about getting stuff thrown at you. Yeah, they throw rocks and stuff at us.
Todd
out there.
Todd nearly got hit with a rock up there at that spot in southern Indiana. He was sitting on a picnic table and had a cooler sitting on the table behind him, and we were getting some activity, and all of a sudden we hear coming through the leaves from way back in the woods. You could hear it way up high in the trees, just and then bam!
Right against the cooler, right beside his head.
Todd's head.
A good throw.
Yeah. I mean, it came from way out in the woods too. It was a good. Those things got a good arm on them.
Needless to say, we became avid squatchers after having a few experiences. We like that just as much as we like hunting the ghosts.
Yeah, that's what I'm picking up on here. So, you know, in the beginning when you were out there, was it to look for a squatch or was it to do something else and you just happened to?
We were actually ghost hunting in a cemetery and had an experience. And even as we were having our experience, we did not realize that we were having a squatch experience. We were having what we now know is typical Squatch activity. We knew nothing about it because
we weren't Bigfoot believers. We weren't
disbelievers, but it was just, it seemed a little far-fetched to me, even though I was hunting ghosts, because it wasn't anything I ever had a big interest in. And we're actually, we kept having the feeling that something was watching us from the tree line. Not thinking Squatch. We thought maybe somebody was over there, an animal was over there. And we went back to doing an EVP session at a gravesite, and we heard knocks, tree knocks. And at that moment in time, I said, I'm not up for it. And you can hear it on our EVP recorder. I said, I'm not up for any Squatches tonight. And we both laughed because we still weren't even thinking that that was really what it was. And then we left that location, still not thinking about it, and went a few more miles down the road to another haunted location, which was a big curve in the road. to stop and get out and look over because it was Crybaby Holler where you could supposedly hear a baby crying. So we're getting out just seeing if we hear any, because, you know, it's like a local urban legend. And while we're there, we're seeing something big on two legs walking around at a distance, and we're still trying to figure out what is that, you know, what could that be? And while we're having these debates on what it is, it moved from way out there to up underneath us because there was like a wall there. A retaining wall?
Yeah, big concrete retaining wall
and
to keep cars from going over the bluff.
And we're kind of standing back here talking, and it had apparently moved down below us, and we heard this guttural growl that was like,
it was almost like a long and huge belch.
And it was like,
I mean, it was rattle. You know what I mean? It was that rattling guttural sound like that.
It was like 60 seconds long. I could not even think of an animal with a lung capacity big enough that, because there was no break in it. It was one long growl. And I think at that moment is when it first clicked. And we kind of looked at each other, and he said, I think it's time to go now, because he got scared.
It's a great story. You've been missing out, huh?
He got scared.
Head down by your way.
I'll have to think of some squatch finding equipment.
Yeah.
Do it.
Bring your ghost hunting stuff. That's what we use. We can pull that out now. All that stuff, they use it. They were using our REM pod before.
They used the Paralight, like Chow said. They did use the Paralight.
What's your guys' favorite place to go? Jeff and Susie?
Gifting?
Well, what's your favorite place to go? Where's your favorite ghost hunting place?
For us?
Find that picture.
Yeah.
Ohio
State Reformatory, probably. You know, we've been there a lot. We like Hillview Manor.
Hillview.
Yeah.
I like Ohio State because you can really spread out and not bump into anybody. And they can be quiet, and then you still have the stories and that. Hillview's another place, very big, spread out, lots of death there.
You know, we haven't really gone to too many cemeteries. Do you like that? And is it a problem being outside with like noise contamination?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
But,
It depends on where you're at. The places that we've talked about, like Gates of Hell and Soul Chapel, those are way off the beaten path, and you don't have traffic noise or they're way away from the city. You know, you don't have a lot of airplanes flying over or anything like that. So,
do you get different kinds of responses, or different equipment works better, you know, outside?
I use the Paralight on I do a lot of cemeteries in Cincinnati just because they're free and I'm bored and single and no kids. So I'm always out trying to find somewhere to go. But I usually don't do EVP. I try to do live as much as possible. But I really like to go sit there because it's quiet. Yeah. And if something happens, it happens. If not, I just consider it a nice peaceful evening.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
Even before the Paralight, when I would go, I'd just sit there with a camera and snap off and then go home and review them. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I never get real great evidence. So, and if I do, I usually
tough, you know, with all the crickets and that kind of contamination.
I don't remember much about Morse code, but I used to get a lot of Morse code, what I thought was Morse code responses in cemeteries, and I don't know anything about Morse code anymore. I did in Boy Scouts, but I think there's something with the way they communicate. If there's not a radio going, if it's not a spirit box, it's almost like a just on a voice recorder. You almost hear a pattern going with clicks and ticks at cemetery, but it might be background noise. So I never really gave it much thought, but I don't know. I kind of think it might be a way for them to communicate, and we just haven't figured it out yet.
Maybe.
Yeah. But I don't know. It's just a theory.
Well,
but the dowsing rods are really great at cemeteries and graveyards.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, at cemeteries, dowsing rods, my REM pod before she killed it, and Mel meter were probably my favorite things to use at cemeteries before she killed my REM pod.
Yeah.
I love putting
You're not going to live that down.
I love putting up.
Yeah, there's so much new equipment out there. And like you guys said, it all costs a lot of money. So you kind of have to choose wisely. And some of the old stuff still works fine too. So.
Yeah.
Well, you put a pair of dowsing rods in a person's hand that doesn't believe and have them just be open about it and walk across a grave. There's dowsing rods crossed.
That happened at Prospect Place, like the first.
And there's science behind it. There's science.
I know.
Joe
Dutch showed me how to use. They were just little coat hangers, and I'm like, "Oh, come on!" And he's like, "No, there's people buried out here in this area. Just walk. They're going to cross about 6 feet and then uncross. No way." And I did it, and they did it, and that had me hooked right there. It's like, you got to be kidding me. And I was holding them so steady, and I thought for sure they wouldn't move, but sure enough, they did. So. You have some good training and you believe that they're going to, it's just amazing when you have that kind of reaction. So, well, I don't know how much longer this goes, but I have some papers to grade.
Well, I was going to wrap it up. I think that, Jeff, I think you've developed some amazing equipment, probably because Susie told you how.
Right.
Has to be.
We make a good team, though. I'm kind of more the business end of it, and he's kind of more the creative, innovative end. And we kind of keep each other in check, I think.
Cool. But anyway, we love it. I mean, Chow is obviously one of your biggest fans as far as the Paralight and the dowsing rods. And we've used all of it ourselves and thoroughly like it. And we're looking forward to what you come out with next.
And don't forget to put your links on Packman Paranormal.
Right. And if you'll stick with us, at least one of you could stick with us for just a couple minutes after we end the show. We'll talk a little bit more, get that stuff where we can share it out a little bit more, and I'll get you the info on Brandon. Okay. But folks, I want to thank everybody that joined in tonight. Like I said, it was a little bit different kind of show, but I think we had a very interesting conversation.
And I think you've sold a few lights.
I think you guys need to find Jeff and buy some of his products because you all seem to like him a lot.
Yeah, or if you have any
ideas,
ideas of what you would like to see out there on the market. I mean, we had one person, this other idea that Jeff has, he got from somebody who said, "Hey, this is what I would like to see. This is something unique and different that I would use somewhere. And, if I knew how to do it, I'd build it." And Jeff kind of took off on that. So I think that's going to be exciting here in a few months when that comes out too.
Yep.
Cool. Well, our friend, Jason Harrod, he's a pretty smart guy. I don't like to admit it, but he's a pretty smart guy. He's kind of got a degree in physics and a lot of things. And he's, very into the tech stuff. I think he might be able to send you a couple ideas that he has because he's talked about that kind of thing. He said, I got ideas, but I'm not the guy to put it together. So we'll have him get with you. But anyway, folks, we'll be back next week with a show. I'm thinking that we might have some evidence review from our Randolph County investigation a month or so ago because we had some amazing stuff that we're still finding more and more every day. But I appreciate everybody that tuned in tonight. You guys take care, be good to one another, and don't forget to smile.
Yeah. Thanks, Doc,
for supporting us.
Thanks for having us on. We really appreciate it.
All right. Take care.
Have a nice